Paper trail coming up right now. The world of politics never sleeps, and this Thursday is no different. So what we do is we unpack, we dissect, we take a look at what's happening, especially when it comes to newspaper headlines, and then we always invite a special guest in the studio. This morning, we're joined by political philosopher Dr. Tsepo Moloi, and we're going to start off with just the newspaper headlines. I'll start off with the Citizen that we have in front of us. Death penalty an option? They asked the question. This, of course, will have come after you'll have heard Ronald Lamula saying that the party may discuss the merits of bringing back the death penalty. He later then came out and said, no.
That's not what I meant.
Yes, this headline was misrepresenting my thoughts and my views, and they sent out an entire press release, which is messy on its own. So that's the first headline.
Two papers leading with some of the chaos that occurred in parts of Joburg yesterday. So the Star leads with xenophobia panic grips schools. So there was a WhatsApp and then later tweets that circulated claiming kidnappings, mass kidnappings of children, first in the east and then in the south of Joburg. The MEC tried to quail those fires, say there's no such thing. There were also rumors of schools being burnt, etc. None of it was true, but of course, parents then panicked.
Yes.
The Sowetan says 13 schools were actually impacted as parents tried to collect children. The Star says there were 4 children in one particular school in the East Rand who had to be treated for injuries because they were trampled as parents and children, frantically trying to run to safety. And so there is that issue of the impact of fake news, of misinformation, putting people in danger. And then we see Ramaphosa at the World Economic Forum for Africa and the Business Day saying South Africa is a home for all. And Dr. Moloi, I'm quite keen to hear from you about what do you think of, I don't know if you caught it, the president's speech yesterday, because there was a great expectation that, he must address the nation. There's so much happening. There's the sporadic violence in parts of Gauteng, there's GBV, etc. The president must lead us or inspire confidence. And then he spoke and what did you think when he spoke?
So firstly, good morning to the viewers. And thank you for having me. Right from get-go, I think we just need to reverse a bit. About 2 weeks ago, the president went to Tanzania on a visit, one of the bilateral relations that we have with that country. And he gave a speech there addressing the locals about what's happening now in South Africa and the significance of our relations with them because of our history, exile, apartheid, and the like. The point being that another president elsewhere in the continent speaks, I think, about 2 days ago, about what's happening now in terms of all the violence that's happening in South Africa and what's happening in our borders. And he totally contradicts what Ramaphosa was saying in Tanzania, which is then basically saying to us that you have a situation of an international relations headache, in as far as our ministry is concerned. And my worry with what is happening currently is that it is true that not enough is coming from the president's side or the leadership at large in terms of all the commotion that's happening. And so people are confused, and I think if we continue in this way, I foresee further disaster.
So here's what we can know for sure, right? We know that there is violence in the streets. That we've verified.
Right.
We know that people are dying. That we've verified.
Right.
We've also seen state-sanctioned violence in the streets, which they then portray or frame as a cleanup of the inner cities, right? We've also verified that. And then on top of that, there's been fake news that gets circulated on social media. We've seen that. Old videos from maybe 10 years ago that then further incite violence. We've seen that. And then I suppose to add everything up in the periphery, there's conspiracy theories about some sort of third force to destabilize the nation and destabilize the state. Where do you start in addressing all of this? Because somebody will ask, okay, what does your intelligence tell you then? What do you think is going on?
Caesar, there's something called it's in the Ministry of International Relations. It's called state diplomacy. So there's an academy where the ministry is responsible to educate the public about what is happening in as far as the government's position, the official position of the government on anything that is happening that is linked to international relations. In this case, we're talking xenophobia, we're talking intelligence reports and all these things. You would like to think that that office would be at the forefront of actually making sure that they're coming out guns blazing in the media, to just clarify certain things and also make sure that, while the police ministry and all the other agencies are doing their work, but they are also doing their work as well. Because I think right now information is on overdrive. We're talking fake news. And they are nowhere to be seen. So for me, I think my biggest concern is, what is Proud doing about this? The Policy Research Analysis Unit, which is hosting the Diplomatic Academy.
Well, let us know what your thoughts are at home, right? Because that is just a paper trail. When you get into Sudan politics, there's lots more to discuss, such as a protest that took place in Cape Town outside the WEF Economic Forum. And what ended up happening there was more decisive action than we've seen when it comes to the violence, for example, that's in the inner cities. Is that right? When we come back, Dr. Tsepamulo will still be with us. Let us know what your thoughts are at 405 Mornings, #BreakingDawn 405.